You're watching the Weiss channel. So today I'm going to show you Z-score, which directly applies to standard deviation. Here's an example of a normal curve with a mean, or mu, that is the Greek letter mu, okay, of 75, all right? The standard deviation is 5, so one standard deviation to the right would be 80. 2 standard deviations, 85. 3 standard deviations, 90. -1 standard deviation, 70. -2 standard deviations, 65. And -3 standard deviations, 60. Okay? So, if I said, what is the Z-score of a person who scored 85? If you got an 85, the Z-score is just 2. That's it. That's Z-score. Z-score is the number of standard deviations from the mean. If you scored a 60, your Z-score would be -3. If you scored a 90, your Z-score would be +3. If you scored 80, your Z-score would be +1. If you scored 70, your Z-score would be -1. 65, your Z-score would be -2. All right. So now, instead of making a whole chart like this, there's a nice little handy-dandy formula to find Z-score. And it's x minus mu, mu is the median, divided by sigma, which stands for standard deviation. Okay. So, find the Z-score of a person who scored 82 with a mean, or mu, of 75 and a standard deviation, sigma, of 5. All right, so we do 82 minus 75 divided by 5. 82 minus 75 is 7, and 7 divided by 5 is 1.4. Now, hopefully that makes sense. If the person scored an 82, okay, in this particular example here, because here the mu is 75, if you scored 82, that's right about here, right? Which is between 1 and 2. So 1.4 makes sense, okay? Here, this person scored 63. I'm using the same chart. 63 is going to be over here somewhere. It's going to be between -2 and -3, right? So my answer should be between -2 and -3. So find the Z-score of a person who scored 63 with a mean of 75 and standard deviation of 5. Okay? 63 minus 75 divided by 5, or -12 divided by 5, is -2.4, which hopefully makes sense because that is, in fact, between -2 and -3. Okay? The answer was -2.4. All right? In these problems, we're just going to use the little formula. Find the Z-score of a person who scored 310 with a mean, or mu, of 300 and a standard deviation, sigma, of 40. So you do 310 minus 300 divided by 40. 10 divided by 40 is 0.25. Sometimes you'll have whole numbers for answers. Sometimes it'll be integers or decimals. Okay? When I say integers, integers could be positive or negative whole numbers, so to speak. Whole numbers, by the way, are never negative. That's just a side note. Okay? But your answers could be whole numbers or decimals, and they could be positive or negative. Find the Z-score of a person who scored 135 with a mean of 145 and a standard deviation of 10. 135 minus 145 over 10. Negative 10 over 10 is negative 1. There you go. You've been watching the Weiss channel.